What we have to do when we make the cheese, I said to you, it's quite easy to make cheese. It's difficult to make good cheese and make it consistently. Once we've finished making the cheese goes into mature. It has to stay in the maturing room while the cheese stops to develop the flavours. But what we have to do, we've still got to control what is going on, because the flavours are starting to develop in the cheese. So we can't leave the cheese, we have to control, we have to monitor regularly. And the way that we do that, we use what is called a cheese iron. Okay, so this is a cheese iron. So basically, we'll come along and we'll grade this cheese. So we judge it based on its characteristics. So this will probably go horribly wrong, but I'll have a do anyway. So this cheese was made on the 19th of March of this year. So it's still a little bit young. It needs probably maybe another 2 or 3 weeks before this is going to be ready for selling to the customers. So this has a wax coat on the outside. So the way that we do it, we basically pour the cheese. It goes in like so. And then we can see. So what the cheese grade is looking for, first and foremost, is the texture. So how easy does the iron go into the cheese? How firm is the cheese? He's also looking at the texture on the iron here. And you can see how it's just starting to feather out here. He'll also look on the back of the iron. So you can see the cheese on the back. That's what we refer to that as the fat on the iron. So we're looking for a good smearing of fat with this particular type of cheese on there as well. Okay? And then finally, the smell. We have to go to smell the cheese as well. Okay? It should smell quite nice, creamy, milky. Creamy, milky, very good. And then of course the last thing we have to do is we take the cheese. And what we do, we take the cheese out and we break it down in our fingers to try and warm it up and soften it. Okay? Smell, and then we taste it. Okay. So, in fact, this cheese is actually a little bit young. It doesn't quite have the flavours. It would need a little bit more time, as I said, maybe another 2 or 3 weeks before this is going to be ready to be sold to the customers. Because you're probably the youngest in the room, you can try this a little bit and tell them. You take from the bottom, that's right, just from the bottom. That's it.
When you have the milk, the milk in the fat, when the fat counts are out of the packet,
good. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Milk is essentially one of the most important things that we work with. And the milk, as I said earlier, is changing all the time. And milk, when the cows are grazing outside on grass, that milk will be different and will produce different cheese, different flavours of cheese.